Good morning. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for being with me again. This is Tuesday at 10 a.m. I am excited to be having this conversation. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to do this, but I decided that I might as well, um, since I've invited you guys into the creative process of how the book is being edited and how it's being marketed. I also wanted to talk about design. That's not something that a lot of people get to talk about much on Facebook, so I thought I'd be one of the first. Um, I'm going to be sharing my screen because I want you guys to see um, some of the design options that we've considered and that we're still working on. So, in just a second, I'm going to enable that possibility and then we'll go from there. Uh, Again, thank you guys so much for being here and we'll get this going. Hey, good evening, everybody. I wanted to pick this conversation back up. We tried to do this earlier this morning and had some technical difficulties, so I wanted to pick it back up because this is important for me. So I wanted to document it for you as well. You can see that I'm sharing my screen. Um, and so I will uh, pull up some documents to help give orientation to the creative process. I, um, I was asked to fill out a form in order to give the designer some information about the book in order to help them figure out how to design the cover. I was given a form, and this is the form that I was given. As you can see, they asked me the title of the book, which is Deliver Yourself from Evil. I am the author. The summary of the book is anyone who would dare to apply the 5 principles of deliverance I discuss in this book will get more out of life than they ever anticipated. If you were anything like I was, you were an island, a one-man show, good all by yourself. But this practice will help you realize that you can't move the way you want to move in isolation. You're not wired for it. Someone who follows this practice will soon realize that they were not meant to live separately from everyone else. We are all connected inherently and eternally. Now, I wouldn't just say that you'll have more joy, although truer words couldn't be spoken. You'll have something even deeper than joy. You'll have more of you. There'll be more of you in everything. You'll be more present. You'll introduce yourself and engage with people with a true interest to discover what it is that we are made of that is the same, so that you'll find gems everywhere you look, every day, and in every experience. So the book is about discovering your higher self. And then I suggest perhaps an image of a plush garden with a running brook or creek for the cover. Of course, I'm alluding to the Garden of Eden without saying that. I didn't answer the genre or mood question because a lot of my audience does not live in the South, does not live in the America, but lives in the East. I have a lot of people who follow me that are uh, from other cultures, and so I wanted to see what the designer would come up with without me giving too much direction. Uh, they asked for the requirements, as you can see, the dimension requirements, and I gave those as an estimate. And that's basically all they had to work with. So with that information, I got some things in response. So the first thing I got, let's see if I can find the first one first. Yeah, here's the first thing I got, right? This design is basically very literally what I asked for. It's plush garden. There's a brook running in the middle of it. Uh, I don't like this design. I feel like this is something a novice would do, so it doesn't appear to be a professional design. I don't like the font at all. It doesn't look like much thought went into it. But the designer can follow instructions, and so I told them basically, this isn't it. See if we can try again. And so this is the second design. And here you see the font is, there is a direction in the font. Although it's not what I'm looking for, it at least looks as if it was attempted. And again, we got the plush greens like I asked for, and maybe a river instead of a brook. So I think it's closer, but not quite there. And then the third uh, the third thing comes in that I think is as close as this designer could come. I suggested that the designer not worry so much about the plushness or the garden, but really focus on the sky because it seemed like they had a better concept for light than for how I wanted to use the greenery or the creek. So I asked them to focus on the sky, and this is what they came up with. And so here in this interpretation, it is the light that is representing good versus evil. And so this wasn't bad. But again, the font to me lacks definition. And so I decided um, to submit the book for publishing with a publisher here in Huntsville. And so the publisher had a form also, of course, that they wanted me to complete. And after I gave them not only the form and the description of the book, but also gave them a copy of the book because they're going to be, proofreading it and editing it. So, from the publisher's perspective, Deliver Yourself from Evil is a compilation of theories, life lessons, and wisdom intended to shift its readers in various areas of their life, starting with how they think. Depending on who reads it and where they are in their life, the impact of this work can be described in many ways. For some, it will be a much needed counseling session. For others, it will serve as a tough but necessary gaze into the mirror. And for some, it will provide answers that they search for within a life coach. I really like the way they continued this review. The center of this work's strength is the author's authentic transparency. The author goes beyond the normal transparency that you would find in most books on the market. He doesn't just give the reader a vague list of things he's done wrong. The author reveals the heart, process, motive, and intent behind the actions he's taken along the course of his life. So, with that understanding, I think it was much easier for the publisher to come up with the concepts that they gave me, that they wanted. Actually, that's not the first one. The first one is here. This was the first version of the cover that the publisher gave. And here, it is imaginative, it is creative. The seasons are represented. I really like the four quadrants. A lot of the work that I do is about the journey of life, the hero's journey through life, and so four is a way that is typically represented in literature and in symbology and also in religion. So I like the concept of the quadrants. I like the concept of a tree being lush on one side and I guess going through winter in the other side. So that makes sense. I decided I didn't want to go with this cover just because I think I've seen the image before, and so I really wanted something that has a little bit more of a custom feel. This is the second attempt, right? So here you can see the font has definitely taken a turn for the more creative, more modern. I like the font a lot. I like the colors a lot. You see some of the same elements in this iteration that you saw in the last iteration. The problem with this image is I've seen this image before, and actually I use this image in presentations. The only thing that they did to this image was add the cape, which is kind of cool. But when I asked people what they thought about this, one of my friends thought it looked like something that was advertising a lawn care service, which is hilarious to me. I didn't get that initially, but I totally get why someone could come away with that interpretation. So that's what's happened so far with the cover. And so I'm going to segue back now so that I can close this session off. But I really just wanted to give you guys a sense of what it looks like once you describe something to a designer, to a third party, someone who's going to create something on your behalf, the level of specificity, the level of direction, and all the different ways that it can be interpreted. So I hope you appreciate this part. And now I will segue back to the review from the publisher. And so the publisher has gone a step beyond just the description, of course, that's their job, and actually try to encapsulate um, the heart of the published work. And so um, I'm hoping now that we're not just talking about images, but we're talking about story. We can go beyond just the bare description of what I originally envisioned and come up with a concept that is more complete and more directional for a potential reader as to what the book is going to be about. I'm terribly excited about this process. I can't wait to write another book. I think I'm enjoying putting the book together as much as I did writing it, and I know that you guys are going to enjoy it as well. Thank you so much for spending this time with me this morning. I will look forward to catching up with you again next week, probably, as we get closer to having the book ready for pre order. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.